Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Anime Night in the Dojo. Today's featured show, Fire Force, Season 3, Part 2.
Yep, Fire Force, Season 3, Episode 17. It's right there on my screen. I'm looking right at it. You guys can't see it because copyright blocker, but it's there. The moon is doing moon things. We're waiting on the sun to turn at some point because that has to happen. In case anybody forgot, the Soul Eater Moon is Soul Eater Moon and Sun are both caricatures and things.
Yeah.
So, yes. I don't know. Everything's getting weird. The headbutt cannon failed. Shinra one-shotted Raffles. Iris did a thing with some very cool invulnerability particles, as we speculated. And then Shinra disappeared. You want to know something that other people didn't notice? So did Chu. So did Iris. You know what that means? All the pillars disappeared. So something's going on. So that's going to be something that's going to be going on with this episode, I'm sure. And yeah. I mean, once again, time crunch. After next episode, I will do my damnedest to catch up on the, read this part of the source material and see everything we talked about. Like, have they left stuff out? Everything we talked about, you know what I mean? That not without rehashing all of that. I'm going to check to see what they've left out and what they've possibly added potentially. But I don't think they're adding anything outside of maybe like random character interactions. Like maybe that leaked disguise is anime original. You know what I mean? Something like that. I don't think it is, but something like that could be something they added to it randomly. But I don't know. It is what it is.
We'll have to see how much my motivation allows me to actually commit to it. But freaking, I did restart reading Tanya, since that's like less than a year out for the next season finally.
Good.
But freaking, I've been super out of it, and PoE starts in a few days, so we'll see how far I manage to actually get on that before Tanya actually comes back around, especially because Tanya is a pretty dense read, especially compared to stuff like Overlord and just reading manga.
Yeah. So anyway, as for Fire Force, we just have to see what happens at this point. There's not really any more things we can really speculate on, and I need to turn off that damn notification because it's going to drive me nuts. I don't know if you guys could hear that, but if you can, I apologize. But anyway, we're going to get going here, so people on Patreon will see you on the other side of the edit for the time reaction, and people on YouTube will see you on the other side for the discussion and review and Patreon stuff. It's free, so just make a Patreon account. I don't even think you have to make an account. Just go to the link that's in the description of the YouTube video, and it'll take you right to the post, and it's free. So if you see the time reaction, watch the episode with us. It's there, and that's why we have to do it. Anyway, let's push some buttons and get going. So here goes something. Well, alrighty then. There you guys have it. Another episode in the books. Once again, we're on a clock. Hopefully they pull it off. A weekly reminder of that. In case anybody missed it, the kid was one of the pillars, so yes, he just kind of disappeared.
Yeah.
He was the fifth pillar? The nuke kid. I forget. They said his name, but I forget. He was either the fifth or the sixth pillar. I forget which one he was.
He was the sixth pillar because he was after Inca.
Right, yeah, because Inca was 5. Yeah. So, yeah, him just disappearing. Yeah, just, again, all the pillars are now in Adola. It'll be interesting to see when we get that and that whole discussion because, well, we're going to have opposing sides. You know what I mean? You're going to have the team that's on the White-clad side that actually wants, the world end in fire. And then you're going to have Shinra trying to be the hero and Sho backing him up. And then the kid's kind of a wild card, obviously. We don't know how much progress he's made off screen. You know what I mean? So we'll just have
Yeah,
to see
he's-
where his head's at after the whole him going nuclear event and everything. But as we know he's been
Yeah.
being mentored by this guy here. I forget his name too, but
Yeah, he's never really picked a side. The whole thing with like him awakening, he just kind of went ballistic and attacked everyone.
yeah,
But right now, it's if he sides with Shinra, it'll be even split 4-on-4.
yeah,
But he's a wild card, like an unknown, and Iris, as far as we know, still doesn't have any combat capabilities apart from just her invulnerability field.
yeah. So it'll be interesting to see how that all plays out in Adola. But again, there's still a bunch of things to get to. I know there are several big fights coming up, and gonna have to have the stupid fan service conversation again because it's just so mind-boggling. And it's because it was one of the most recent episodes that came out. People were talking about it, and I figured it's coming then. Going to be doing something with Tamaki as a character here at the end, but once again, it's having to do that fan service discussion again is in the world we live in, and as I'll just keep it short for now, it's like you turn on anything, and especially things like OnlyFans, and you got people complaining about anime fan service. I don't understand it. You know what I mean? It is mind-blowing to me that you have the people that are okay with things like OnlyFans, just any streamer on Twitch that's fan servicing in either direction. You know what I mean? And it's literally the world's oldest industry. This is nothing new. This is nothing exciting. The biggest gaming platform is an adult site. It's not Steam. It's freaking Otaku. It's just it just blows my mind that there's so much hypocrisy about that kind of stuff. It's like, what's the difference? Because there is none. It's just a personal preference, so who cares? It doesn't matter.
I'm honestly surprised that Tamaki got some focus this episode and we didn't get any sort of fan service with her.
Right.
Like usually, like even before they're considering stuff like her Lucky Ledger Lure or anything kicking in, usually just when she goes in combat mode, she usually opens her jacket.
Yeah.
To let her fire out more freely.
Right. It probably has to do with what they're going to do with her in a couple episodes that I saw from the Men of Knowledge, but it's still just I'm going to have to talk about that one at a little bit ad nauseum because it's super aggravating to me. But in short, right now, it's the hypocrisy is just insane. I'm sorry, it's just that simple. But as for the rest of this episode, once again, absolutely nothing wrong with any of this. Getting a little bit more of their like school days and how they met Ogden, stuff like that, and how their relationship developed and stuff like that and whatnot. That's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with this kind of backstory and to fill in the school days and stuff like that. But again, do we have time for this?
The biggest issue with this really was just we're in a time crunch, and this does seem kind of out of place to an extent in that we've already got most of this information. The only thing we really got new in this one is we got a bit more of Ogun's side of this, which is the reason we're getting this because it's his fight and all that.
Which
it's still
to that end, this is exactly what we were talking about with Jujutsu Kaisen and Maki last week. This is what they needed to do for that because they have time to do it. You know what I mean? They needed to do that with Maki, with the other members of the Zenin clan. Just something like this would have been totally enough. You know what I mean? Start with something to this level for like the training boss guy, and then kick it up like 30% more for like the 3 main Zenin guys, and you're good. And then that would have been a solid like 2 episodes. You know what I mean? As opposed to the aura farming that they did and all the nerds who rated that at 9.8 in the West and all the stuff we talked about. It's like, no, it's not a good episode. Fight sequences are excellent, absolutely. I'm not taking that away from them. But not a good episode on the whole. You know what I mean? If they just did something like this, absolutely. maybe not a 9.8 if we're gonna go into the ratings department, but like probably like a solid like 7.5 to an 8. Like a good episode. But it's just on this side of it for Fire Force. It's like, do we have time for this? I understand, for his story, it makes sense why they're doing it, and this is what they need to do for situations like this when a character is fighting to show their motivation, why he believes in teamwork, that kind of thing. Absolutely, totally fine. It was great. I liked it. Especially being a basketball guy, I love the reference. But still, it's just... do we have time for it? So,
It is kind of odd as a character trait that Ogun is so team-oriented when he is basically the one-man army of the Academy. That was the whole thing. Like, he's been touted as basically being the second Burns.
Right. But at the end of the day, since he is more of a... Like, since they did the sports analogy, there's a lot of players in the level that he's at being, like, one of the top-tier guys. And if you're a top-tier guy, a lot of times you're a double or triple team, whatever. But you can be the guy that makes the opening for your teammate, which what we saw with the lieutenant, putting that shotgun around into the back of Charon's, like right here, like in his side. So it's all about teamwork. Sometimes the star player, you're making the assist, you know what I mean? You're not scoring the point, however it may be, the touchdown, the goal, the basket, whatever it may be. You're making the opening for your teammate to score. You know what I mean? That kind of...
Yeah, which this whole fight did also, once again, kind of downplay Ogun, because, like, Ogun is, once again, considered to basically just be the second Burns, and that, like, Burns was an anomaly for how freaking strong he was. And, like, Ogun is, like, one of the only people who's gonna even get close to Burns' strength. The only real difference between them is just that Burns keeps getting stronger over time, whereas Ogun eventually burns out. They can function opposite in that sense.
Yep. And
the only reason why... The big reason why that this fight seems so much like it kind of downplays Ogun's strength is just the fact that he's fighting Charon, who is arguably, like, the most difficult opponent in the White Clad.
Yeah. And everybody has gotten stronger since Adola is closer to the world.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But Charon was already a problem. And now he's clearly much stronger, because, like, once again, the issue before that they kind of exploited on him was just the fact that he has the big weakness of, once again, he can't absorb and release at the same time. And then the fact that before he had a, like, break point that where you can eventually overheat him. Does not seem to be the case now, because even Ogun can't overheat him.
Yeah. And this is him in a higher state of power, obviously. So at the end of the day, his only weakness is that he can't absorb and counter at the same time. Hence why the lieutenant's attack actually worked, on top of it being a ballistic attack, which he does redirect kinetic force, and we've talked about that before. But if he's in the middle of an attack in this case, that's the opening that we talked about. So if he's countering, he's not defending. You know what I mean? So a gun is like the perfect thing to hit him with, because it's not just a flame attack. You know what I mean? So
yeah, he absorbs thermal energy, which kinetic energy is a form of thermal energy. Well, vice versa, actually. It's technically thermal energy is a form of kinetic energy. It's just vibration in the atoms. But yes, it's either way. He can't absorb the kinetic force out of attacks, and that's the reason why he is just basically invulnerable to things.
Yeah.
Even just punches and stuff like that. But it is, yes, less effective. His ability is less effective on kinetic attacks than it is on flame-based attacks, because it's a lot easier to, just absorb the flame than it is to outright stop all the kinetic energy in the split second before something hits you.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, again, this was again, a very solid sequence, you know, but again, it just comes down to, do we have time for this? And we'll just have to see what happens, you know. Once again, I'll do my best to read up on source material and stuff like that up until whatever the point is after the end of next episode, and we'll talk about it at the beginning of episode 19, so in a couple weeks here, if I was able to get that done. But with all the stuff going on around me, I don't know. I'll make a serious attempt. If I just derp into like a couple extra hours, I'll just be like, I have to do Fire Force right now. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of stuff going on for me, so it's like, if I can find it, and then I'll just do it. But we have a lot of other stuff going on as well for what we're trying to do for the channel and whatnot. So this is important, obviously. Not as important as a Crunchyroll player being trash and us having to pay more monthly. But, you know, that is what it is.
I mean, next episode probably will be the turning point because it is the halfway of the season, but also because we're getting, based on the preview, it's going to be at least Giovanni inside Amaterasu already, and probably Dragon, since Arthur went in too.
Right. And it's not even really a spoiler, because we know that this heads into Soul Eater, and one of the things with Excalibur is he says that him and Arthur defeated a dragon. There's only one option for that. So...
yeah. We know Excalibur does show up at some point in this finale. So presumably it will be next episode.
Yep. So it'll be interesting to see what that encounter is like. Obviously, we haven't seen Giovanni in a while, but he is in the outro as, you know, his weird self. And it will be interesting to see what his deal is, especially with Vulcan going in there and whatnot, and the fact that Lisa's in there as well, and she probably still has PTSD. So
yeah, we kind of that is one of the big story things that we did kind of skip. Is last time we had a conversation with Giovanni, Lisa was in full brain control and completely on his side. And then when he got defeated, she's like, yeah, I'm going to stick around with you guys, but I'm still definitely on Giovanni's side. And then we fast forwarded to apparently now she is fully committed to staying with the 8th and wants to deal with Giovanni.
Right. So
and we never got the, like, any of the actual, like, her getting over Giovanni or anything. It just skipped straight to that.
Right. So who knows if it'll be a problem or not? We'll just have to see. But honestly, there's not a huge amount more we can say about this episode for what it was. You know, fight sequences were solid. Keeping the Soul Eater backdrop is definitely interesting. There's a couple other Soul Eater things that obviously have to come this season that are going to be a thing that we talked about. Excalibur, Lord Death is going to be a thing. It'll be interesting to see what the deal is with him. You can see he's in the OP for like a frame very early on, so you know it's there.
Presumably, we'll get the only ones that we know are just, you know, Excalibur and Lord Death, but presumably we'll get most of the original Soul Eater gods.
Yeah.
Like the God of Fear and so on.
Right. And keep in mind, this isn't going to be the super goofy Lord Death either. So that's going to be fairly interesting for that. But
because once again, the goofy persona of Lord Death in Soul Eater is a more recent, like the last 50 or 60 years development. By the time that story takes place, throughout most of his history, he is the more stereotypical God of Death.
Right. So lots of interesting stuff coming up. Looking forward to it, and you know, hopefully I can find the time. Maybe I'll just suck it up and do it tonight, because my sleep schedule has been all over the place, and I'll just find it and just power through it, because it's not like I even have to like read everything. I kind of gotta glance at the panels and just be like, okay, this isn't something they did, you know what I mean? And or this is something that isn't there, you know, that kind of thing. and then read it. You know what I mean? If I recognize stuff, there's no point in reading it for the most part. You know what I mean? Because it's probably going to be fine. I can't imagine that this is one of the series that has those like, oh, we're going to change some dialogue. You know, we're going to change parts of the story. No. So, but either way, another solid episode, and once again, just hopefully they have enough time to get in as much as they possibly can. So
just was quickly looking at some of the other gods potentially that we'll get in this. Just like looking at the list of gods, where it was we already know, God of Death, God of Fear, is presumably going to be the Evangelist or Haumea. We know, God of Death is Lord Death. God of Rage, which is friggin' Excalibur. The other gods that are, who knows if they'll show up, is the God of the Ocean, the God of Hope, and what was the other one? The God of Order. Are the old gods of the Soul Universe.
Right. So it will be interesting to see. So looking forward to that, but again, not really a huge amount more we can really speculate on because we know where this goes. We just have to see how we get there. You know what I mean? And there's only so much we can speculate on how we get there. And I know we're gonna have to have this stupid fan service discussion again, and I don't want to do it, but it's every time it comes up, I have to point out the hypocrisy, and it's just ridiculous. But I'm never not going to point out the hypocrisy. It's kind of like how all the people are up in arms about the new scary movie trailer that are coming out. It's like, guys, do you realize that this is how it was 20 years ago? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's a lot of it is unapologetic comedy, and some of that's the best kind of comedy. You have to be willing to be able to make fun of everything. Are there certain subjects that you don't touch? Yeah, absolutely. But I think there's too much. The simplest and quickest and most concise way, without going super into that, is people have way too thin skin these days. You know what I mean? It's that simple. It's unfortunate because it creates other problems. Absolutely. So. That's a whole other thing, but just wanted to say that really quickly about that kind of stuff. You just need to not let random bullshit get to you. Most of the time, it's just either a joke or really not that big of a deal, or it literally has nothing to do with you. So.
Yeah, on the Fire Force note, though, yeah, it really is just we know where we're going. It's just a matter of how do we get there, and what are we going to see about it?
Yeah.
It's like, we know that this is somehow going to turn into the Soul Universe, and we know components of the Soul Universe. It's just a matter of what exactly is going to happen during this finale that causes it to go Soul Eater. And, what kind of what Soul Eater characters are we going to potentially see? We know for a fact Lord Death and Excalibur show up.
Yep.
But what about the other old gods? We still, as far as I know, at least, from just Soul Eater knowledge, not knowing the finale for Fire Force, never had the identity of the original God of Fear. We just know that the original God of Fear was destroyed, and that Ashura eventually takes its place.
Yep. And to that end, if they end up doing, which they probably will, doing a revamped Soul Eater anime like Soul Eater Perfect, as most people speculate title it, it'll be interesting to see if we get more references to Fire Force in that version.
Yeah.
So either way, yeah, that's all we got. So ladies and gentlemen, people of YouTube beyond, however watching, as always, we appreciate you stopping by and hanging with us here in the dojo for more Anime Night in the Dojo, and this was Fire Force Season 3, Episode 17. So have a good morning, evening, afternoon, whatever it is for you. Have a good one. See you next time.
Hey everyone, Victoria here. If you enjoyed the video, please consider pushing those like and subscribe buttons. Your support is greatly appreciated. Thanks again for your time, and we hope to see you again in the future.